All right, Small Acts community, if you want to grow in business, relationships, in real estate, in life, you need to fall in love with hearing the word no. Kids don't take no for an answer. Why do we? Deal finding, teaching, parenting, relationships, mindset. Guys, I hear no all day long. So why do I keep going? Well, behind every thousand no's, there might be a yes. All right, let's talk a little bit about no. What no means. In my opinion, no is just a way that somebody says, hold on, I'm not 100% certain on this decision. Hold on, I might be a little bit skeptical about this process or that process. Hold on, take a pause. No does not necessarily mean no. Now, in certain circumstances, obviously, we want to teach our kids and everybody that we know that no means no. But as investors, as people looking to buy deals, me as a teacher, me as a dad, no doesn't always really mean no. Now, as a deal finder, let's talk about it. I've gotten no thousands of times from sellers. Sometimes I'll get no three, four, five times when I make offers, but sometimes that no will turn into a yes. Sometimes that no will be a no, but other times it'll be a maybe. So you have to really be digging deeper and try to build up some sort of thick skin when you're dealing with sellers and you're looking for deals. That's one instance. When you're building teams and you're getting turned down from people, that's a no. Sometimes it hurts and you're second guessing yourself and your abilities and your team and the ability to close on a deal or an actual deal itself or the actual team. When you hear no all the time, it can hurt us. We've been trained growing up that no is a bad thing. There are tons of books out there, tons of gurus that talk about no and how it's not really a bad thing. I'm starting to agree because if you were to walk away from every single no, which is going to happen all the time, your life can be pretty sad, right? I know it hurts sometimes when we hear the word no, when we get turned down. Let's say you go ask somebody out on a date and they say no. I remember the first time I did it, I was devastated when the girl said no. But in all reality, I wish I would have just said, who the hell cares? I'm moving on to the next, or I'm going to ask her again. And it doesn't matter. No can just mean no. And that's acceptable for us. We have to come to terms with the fact that a no in certain circumstances just means no. And again, like I said, sometimes it really means maybe. Sometimes it means I need more information. Sometimes it means come back to me tomorrow. And other times it just means no. Either way, take the emotion out of it because who cares? A no is just a no, or maybe it's not. Now, I've been putting teams together for 5 years. I've been working on deals for 5 years, searching for deals for 5 years. And I talk to people all the time who turn me down. I also get turned down from vendors when I'm asking for discounts. Oh, well, you got to ask. If you don't ask, you're never going to get a discount. If you don't ask somebody to be a part of your team, you're never going to get that person as a part of your team. Or you might, but you want to put yourself in the driver's seat. You want to be the person controlling how things go. So you want to reach out to people. You want to ask people, will you participate in my deal? Will you give me a discount as a vendor? Will you perhaps become our in-house maintenance tech, which we've done before, and we've gotten turned down, but other times we've gotten things accepted, and that propels us forward as a business. That propels me forward as an operator. That propels my investments and my investors forward because we all win. You have to take chances. You have to push. You have to be willing to hear the word no. So, as a parent, many of you can relate to this. Our kids say no to us all the time. We ask them to go to bed. They say no. We say brush your teeth. They say no. But you know what? It's okay that they say no. We're not going to give up on them. We're not going to say, fine, don't brush your teeth because that could be detrimental to their health. We don't say, fine, you can stay up all night because that will be detrimental to their health. Just as we don't say, fine, I will let you use your iPad for 20 hours today or play video games all night, just as we don't accept a no from them, we don't have to accept a no from a potential investor, from a seller, from a buyer, from a vendor, perhaps from a partner, or from anybody else in this business world or this multifamily world. We can take the no and then figure out what the no really means. For example, on one of my deals that I bought, a 10-unit deal back in 2023, I had initially begun negotiating with a seller at a price point that made sense for me. The seller said no. Okay, what did that really mean? What that really meant was the seller said no now, and he just wasn't ready to sell in that moment. This was an off market opportunity. Yet a few months later, he had some septic issues. When I came back to him with my price, that no turned into a yes. We later found out that there were some septic issues, and then we renegotiated the price a little bit farther. He was willing to do so once he understood the true value of his property. And if I had accepted that no and walked away and given up, I would have never gotten the 10-unit deal, which we are now looking at a solid exit slash refinance for coming in 2026. Could you imagine? I walked away when the guy said, no, I don't like your offer. Okay, I'll go now. No. My response to that is, okay, let me rethink how to frame the offer. Let me ask again, maybe at an opportune time. Let me take that no and try to interpret what it really means. Maybe he's just not ready. Maybe he's afraid. Maybe he thinks the price is actually worth more. Whatever it is, you have to figure it out. You have to dive deeper. So you can take the no and you can absorb it and you can be all emotional about it and say, darn it, I'm never going to win. Or you can take that response and say, how can I turn this into a yes? Or how can I provide value to this person or find out what they really want and need so that I can make this some sort of a favorable outcome, AKA a yes for me and my partners and my team. You have to reframe your mindset. No is not necessarily rejection. It's just information. People say that every no brings you closer to a yes, and I agree with that. But even if a yes never comes, the growth happens in the ask. Sometimes we have to step out of our comfort zone. Hey, will you take $500,000 off of this price? They say no, they say no. It doesn't mean that you're a lowballer. It doesn't mean that you're a jerk trying to twist this guy and beat this guy up. It just means that you're asking for something. Don't put a bigger context around it. You're just asking for a discount. Grant Cardone has books all about this and talks about it as a salesperson. And this is really huge in the sales world. And I'm not a salesman, technically, obviously, we're always selling something. And Grant talks about this all the time. And he talks about no being just one stepping stone and you got to keep asking. And he really pushed past that no and get a no a million times and who cares? And you just keep going. And it's hard for us to imagine. And it's hard for most of us because we're trained to believe that no is a scary or bad or evil thing. Just get that out of your mind and move forward. There's a book that I recommend. It's Start With No by Jim Camp. I read that a couple of years ago. And that's helped me shift my mindset and just keep pushing through the no's. Sometimes it helps to start with a no, and he goes through why. So you should really check out that book if you have any reservations about asking people for things or trying to look for discounts, trying to put a deal together, raising capital, whatever it is. But you have to also note that fear of the no is going to keep you stuck where you are. So you're not going to grow. You're not going to expand if you don't ask and you don't try. You have to be willing to accept that no. Now, you will hear no 1,000 times. Ask again, angle it differently. A relationship might change that. So if you can build a relationship with somebody and then ask them a year from now to partner with you, so you might not get somebody to partner with you today, but if you build a relationship with them and they get to know you a little bit better and you continue to keep that relationship warm, right? Not a fake relationship. I'm talking about you have to put in the work. You got to have a genuine relationship with people. If you push past it, maybe a year from now, they will get you what you want, which might be a partnership, might be a business discount, might be a sale on a property. It might be capital that you need. Okay. If you get a no from somebody, you can also reframe the offer, change it a little bit. Hey, look, we're looking for $100,000 to invest in this deal. It's epic because of X, Y, and Z. No. Oh, okay. Well, actually, we would accept $75,000. No. Okay, well, we would even take $50,000. No, I'm not interested. I just don't have $50,000. Oh, you don't have it. Now we just got a little bit more information. No problem. Well, did you know that you can invest with a self-directed IRA? Did you know that you could pull out money from your 401k, perhaps an insurance plan? You could pull out money from these things. You could even pull out from a HELOC, although I don't recommend it. It just opens up a bigger conversation, which you should be having with your investors anyway, and then asking for a referral. Hey, if you don't want to invest, I get it, but maybe you know somebody that really likes this neighborhood or this market. Maybe they would want to invest or partner with me. Now let's talk about it on the flip side. Let's say you're trying to buy a property and they say no. Okay, what do you do? Well, what do you mean no? Let's say you make an offer for $1 million and they're like, no, I don't want to sell my property for $1 million. Okay, well, what would you sell it for? And then they're like $2 million. And you say, okay, well, I don't feel it's worth $2 million because of X, Y, and Z. The benefit here is that you just opened up the conversation. You're now getting behind the scenes into the weeds and figuring out what the real issue is. And it might come down to something that you didn't expect. Well, actually, this is my retirement and I need it to live off of. And if I just had $1 million, it would be excellent, but I'm going to get taxed on that $1 million or whatever. So then what you say is, oh, well, perhaps we could work out some sort of seller finance deal or some sort of master lease plan where you don't have to pay taxes necessarily on the sale because the sale never technically happened. And maybe you could work something out that way. You have to be open to hearing no from all aspects of your life, in relationships, in business, in raising capital, in finding partners, in finding deals, in everything. Another strategy that I really like to use is setting myself up prior to any conversation by saying, I'm going to get a no, expect it. I'm going to expect that to happen. Because then if it happens, who cares? I'm already expecting the no. But if it does not happen, it's a win. And I feel great about it. We have to get in the mindset of, well, we're going to get a bunch of roadblocks. Life is filled with roadblocks in anything that we want to do. And it's all about picking your hard. People talk about this all the time. Pick your poison, pick your hard. There's nothing that's easy. And what happens is in business and relationships, we tend to be like, well, maybe the grass is greener on the other side. I should have been investing in crypto. I should have been investing in mobile home parks rather than multifamily. I should focus on this market over that market. I should have 10 partners. I should have one partner. But the reality is, nothing is ever easier. You just have to pick your hard. There's always going to be challenges, there's always going to be roadblocks. It's up to you to decide which hard you want to choose and then stick through it. There's going to be a defining moment in your life if you stick with something long enough to see that defining moment come to fruition, come to success. But you will never see that defining success moment if you don't stick with something long enough to get there. The shiny object syndrome is real. I've dealt with it myself. Thankfully, I've had great coaches that steered me the right way and kept me focused, even when times got tough, even when times were dark, even when I got 3,000 no's. It's really important to know that. Another trick that I use is to reframe the initial question. Instead of saying to this 10 unit seller, will you take $800,000 for your property? Maybe reframe it. What are you looking to get from this property? What do you need as far as help? What do you need as far as sale price? What do you need in terms of closing date? There might be ways to win something that you want and to succeed at and get something that you want based on reframing a question. Because if this guy needs to close in 90 days, that's not that bad. Anybody can handle that. But if he needs to close in 30 days, that's a rescue situation. That's an opportunity for you to get a discount or negotiate some terms that work better in your favor. So a no is not necessarily a no. Sometimes it's a pathway to a different type of a scenario that can lead to a successful outcome for you and the other person sitting in front of you. Again, if they say no, it's okay. And if they keep saying no, 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 and you ask a million times to keep saying no, but they're still there, they're engaging with you, that's a good thing. You might want to eventually ask for a referral. And I do this all the time. Do you know somebody that wants to invest in Florida? Okay. You're not selling your property. Do you know somebody that's selling their property? Do you have another property that you might be selling? These are conversations that you have to have. Initially, when I first started those conversations, I definitely felt uncomfortable. Now I don't feel uncomfortable at all, and it's natural for me. And the person on the other end, when I say, hey, do you have another deal for sale? They don't feel uncomfortable at all. They feel grateful that I'm asking. You got to just sit back and say, look, I am in this game to provide value. I am in this space or whatever. If it's a relationship, I am in this relationship to provide value and give, give, give. Yeah, I'm going to ask for things occasionally. That's normal. That's natural. I might get a no. Who cares? I'm going to keep moving forward. It does not affect my ego. It doesn't affect anything. I'm just going to keep pressing forward towards my goals, whatever your goals be. My goals, get $2 million or $3 million invested in something that is going to pay me a return of 5%, let's say, that I can live off that return. That's my goal. It might take me 15 years to get there, but I'm going and I'm not going to stop. I don't quit, guys. You got to be relentless in this game. Also, track everything, track conversations that you have, follow up with people. It might be a no now. For example, that 10 unit was a no. And then I closed it 6 months or so later. I was negotiating with the guy, Dale, on his 5 unit mobile home park for over a year, and I lost it. But I still was negotiating, and I was in the game, and I was in the race for over a year. I thought I was going to get that one, guys, and I didn't get it. It just happens. There's going to be dozens of these. It's going to be hundreds of these, and it's just part of the game. Let's say you're climbing a mountain. You don't jump to the top of the mountain and be done with it. You got to go step by step. And each step is a process. Each step is part of your journey. Each step, however difficult it may be, can be considered successful. One step forward is success. You might hit a rock. You might trip and fall over. You might get scratches, but you're going to make it to the top if you keep going. Nothing's going to stop you if you keep going. Who cares if a bird is chirping at you saying, no, no, no? You'll make it. If you stick with it, if you grit through it, if you are relentless enough, you'll get there. Just leave your egos at home. So let's set the expectation from the beginning. You are going to hear the word no a bazillion times, and that's the cost of growth. I want you to track your next 10 no's. Don't measure anybody that says yes. Measure the no's. Maybe you can get all of those no's in one day. That would be awesome. That would be delightful rather than extending those 10 no's a month out. I want you to get 10 no's today. And I want you to share those stories with me. Share all of the no's that you got, all of the failures or the quote unquote failures, and maybe even share a success after a certain amount of no's. So your goal right now is to go out there and get 10 no's. Stop waiting on something you've been meaning to ask for. Go ask for it 10 times, get 10 no's, and report back to me. I want to hear the craziest stories that come out of this as possible. I want you to share them with people on social media. I want you to DM me with those stories. I want you to email me those stories. I want you to share them with the world. Let's get the no out there. Let's plug through it and crank. Also, if you are looking to get involved in multifamily, I have a credibility kit for you. Go to my website, smallactscommunities.com. You can get my credibility kit for free. It is sick. It will help you gain credibility with brokers, which is a huge issue with many of you. It gives you all the tools necessary. I also have a deal analyzer for sale right now, $49. Go to my website, smallactscommunities.com. Download the deal analyzer. It is called the Multifamily Deal Blade. It is the best deal analyzer out there for analyzing multifamily properties. I love you guys. Go get me a no. All right, and that's a wrap, Small Acts community. So I wanted to take a minute to say thank you so much for listening to the show. And if you liked it or got any value from it, it would really mean the world to me if you would share it with someone else and write a review. Remember, guys, keep sharpening those axes. Let's get out there. Let's crush it. Love you guys.